it's really, really sad for me to think about how we're currently living in an age where millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of people are living with chronic illnesses, some symptoms a lot more severe than others. Most people, whether they even recognize it or not, actually have some sort of chronic illness symptom. Like for me, for example, I had mild to pretty severe eczema for ever since I was 1 years old. I was basically born with eczema, and it caused me a lot of pain and suffering in my life. But then at other times, it was a little bit mild, and I also had really bad allergies, seasonal allergies, really bad asthma, to the point where my sinuses would fill up with mucus, to the point where my ears would get filled with mucus and I'd get ear infections, strep throat, a lot of these kinds of things. For example, even like acne, indigestion, chronic depression, addictions as well. Then, of course, there's all of the more obvious ones like diabetes, even Lyme disease, other skin diseases like psoriasis, vitiligo. There's many different chronic illnesses that are currently plaguing our culture, like thyroid problems, autoimmune problems. And just the really tragic thing is that modern science has zero clue about what is actually going on inside the people. Why are all the people sick? And when I say all the people, I mean like 95% of people don't realize that their body has chronic illness symptoms that they don't need to have. Even teeth problems, like lots of cavities, or even just BO, smelling like crap all day and not knowing why. A lot of this is rooted in diet, it's rooted in nutrition, and it's just rooted in generally a lack of clear understanding of what foods actually do to the human body. Now, again, I want you to just really be open-minded to the possibility that our culture right now in the current 21st century is totally, completely in the dark about nutrition and what actually makes us healthy. And I personally had to do a lot of searching, a lot of testing, a lot of experimentation with dozens of different diets, really giving them a good shot, like the keto diet where I was eating just steaks and butter and eggs for weeks and weeks trying to hit ketosis. And when I did hit ketosis, I just felt worse. Things like paleo, vegan, vegetables, fruits, no fruits, many different diets I've personally tested and experimented with myself because I'm like a self-experimenter. I actually like to try different ways to optimize my health and my personal development. So it was maybe 4 years ago where I discovered this one diet called the medical medium diet, and I bought his book and I was just reading through, and he had some very interesting perspectives on certain foods to not eat. For example, like eggs, dairy, wheat, pork, and tuna for various reasons that I've spoken about in other videos. And I liked his reasoning. He had really good reasoning of saying that the human body in the 21st century is thoroughly inundated with external chemicals, petrochemicals, toxic chemicals like, first of all, heavy metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, copper. Also, these heavy metals, they come from the air that you breathe, from car exhaust fumes. A lot of them are on pesticides, in pesticides like DDT that has bioaccumulated in our environment for many years. Even though DDT is banned, there's other pesticides that are sprayed on crops that get into your food, into the water, and the heavy metals get into your organ tissues, they get into your body. The tap water has rusted metals in it. A lot of them are even passed on from your mom in the womb, because your mom's body it has also been exposed to all these toxic chemicals, even these chemical fragrances like scented candles or Febreze, these like plug-in air fresheners, very toxic for the human body. These things bioaccumulate in your organs, and a lot of them have a lot of trouble getting cleansed out, especially because our culture is really obsessed with the idea of having a high-fat diet. Many people just eat like eggs and bacon for breakfast, and then a sandwich with ham and cheese for lunch, then maybe a hamburger for dinner, or maybe they have an apple here or there, like one apple, one banana. They have a one salad throughout the day, but that's like, well, I had my vegetables today. And then after at night, they have ice cream and chips, and that's basically the whole diet. And coffee and cake, this kind of stuff. This is like, I think it's easy to deceive yourself that you actually eat healthier than you really do. And this is what I discovered for myself, because I was eating out. This was a couple years ago. I was eating out with my girlfriend. We were going out every night, eating out Indian food. And, it was oily, greasy kind of food, even though it was vegan, right? So you can even be vegan and still be extremely unhealthy and have way too much fat in your system. It makes it hard for your body to actually cleanse all of the toxins that it's been exposed to since being in the womb. In addition to the toxins, there's also the presence of viruses, such as Epstein-Barr virus, strep, herpes, shingles. These viruses, they live in your body, dormant. And many of them, they feed on eggs. And what I've learned is that actually big pharma companies, I know this is going to sound conspiratorial, but I'm pretty sure this is true. I haven't looked too much into it, but this is this is a one branch that I'll leave open for you that you can explore more for yourself. Maybe I'll talk about it more, but big pharma companies actually 30, 40, 50 years ago were actually experimenting with viruses in laboratories, trying to raise viruses to see how viruses work. So in laboratories, they discovered that they were raising the viruses in people's blood, and there was this one guy's blood that the viruses were like surviving for days and days and days, and they didn't know why. So they interviewed the guy. Turns out he was an egg farmer, and he ate eggs with basically every meal because that's what he had available. And they found out that blood that has eggs in it was like virus heaven. And they even tried just raising the viruses in the egg yolk and the egg white, and they found that the viruses lived a very long time. So this is where the conspiratorial sounding part comes in, but basically they raised the viruses in the egg yolk, the flus and stuff, and they actually released them out to the public and got everyone sick, and then patented all these pharmaceuticals like flu shots and other forms of cures that they would profit off of. So I think this is true. I actually don't have any like data right now to like share. I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but this is one reason, like a lot of these viruses, even let's say that's not true, okay? I'm not sure if that's true. Let's say it's not true, okay? Still, that doesn't change the fact that there are many viruses like Epstein-Barr, strep, and herpes that are raised on milk. They eat milk, dairy, they eat eggs, they eat wheat, they eat corn, they eat soy. They also eat canola oil. So any of these foods, if you're including them in your diet, you're going to experience an increase in any and all chronic illness symptoms, which can be chronic weight gain, leaky gut syndrome, fatty liver, skin problems, hair loss, bad breath, rotting teeth, and many other things that I don't have time to cover in this video, but I will cover in other videos. So this is something that modern science and medicine, you can really only understand the depth of this problem if you actually have a chronic illness for yourself. and you've been to 10 doctors, you've been to 20 doctors, and all of them literally shrug their shoulders. They literally, like, oh, you have cystic acne? Okay. Not sure why. Must be you got bad hormones or bad genetics or something. Here, take this antibiotic, which is basically what they give to. The only thing we've discovered is antibiotics, so they just kind of give it to everyone. Like, here, take antibiotics. Every sickness is just antibiotics, because that's like what we discovered, penicillin, and then we're like, we just kind of like sit on that throne and we just kind of give that to everyone. Also, blaming genetics is just basically whenever any doctor ever tells anyone that it's related to your genetics, basically that just means that they don't understand the cause of this illness, so we're just going to like make up a reason because we actually don't know why you're sick. I've met friends who've spoken to doctors who actually, the doctors that literally told them this. Like, yeah, you know what, honestly, when science says it's your genetics, basically what that means is we don't know. So this is like the explanation I was given for my eczema. This is the explanation many people are given for their chronic illness. But even though science doesn't know what is causing it, they are very, very quick to give you some kind of ointment or some kind of cream or pill to help to manage the symptoms. This is what modern medicine is in the 21st century. It's symptom management. Very little understanding of deep, holistic, systemic causes in the most complicated technological, biological system known to man, the human body. We're currently actually not evolved enough scientifically to even understand what's going on inside here. And this is shown very clearly, and you take a look around, there's many people just have extra weight on their body, and it's not only because they like don't eat healthy. There's some people who are convinced that they're eating healthy. They're eating keto, you know, I'm not having any sugar, but I'm still gaining weight, and they think that the reason why they're gaining weight is because they need to cut sugar, and they cut sugar, and they throw out their apples, and they throw out their bananas and all this stuff. They don't eat any sugar at all. It's too much glycemic index. And yeah, so there's people that are even eating healthy that still have symptoms. Like even me, when I was a couple years ago, I still had really bad eczema, even though I was telling myself I was eating healthy. I wasn't having any bread or anything like this. Still I had symptoms. So it wasn't until I discovered the medical medium, who is a guy who is channeling diet information from a higher source. He's a psychic. He channels information from what's known as the spirit of compassion. When he was 4 years old, he predicted his grandmother having cancer, and he spontaneously somehow knew that if she drank celery juice, then her cancer would go into remission. And even though the doctors tried many things and his grandmother was about to die, when she drank celery juice, her cancer went away. And throughout his life, he just had this power. And this isn't very far-fetched to understand, because throughout human history, we've lived in tribes, like in indigenous cultures. There have always been people who have psychic abilities, who actually are able to intuitively understand. Human beings are not only dumb monkeys, okay? We are also intuitive spiritual creatures. Some shamans in villages, they would just kind of know what certain plants do. This is actually, Anthony Williams says he does have this ability where he can look at a plant, and then the spirit of compassion just tells him what the plant does, what it's good for, what it heals, which symptoms it can heal, and how to eat the plant, and so forth. So there are humans on Earth that have psychic abilities, and I made a 2-hour video about speaking about why. It's actually undeniable. If you deny this, you're actually not being logically integrous, because it's a real phenomenon. Just because it's not scientific, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. right? Not everything that isn't scientific doesn't exist. There are people with psychic powers on Earth, and that's a real thing. And if your science can't explain that, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That just means science is limited, which is something not a lot of people realize. So obviously, I'm not going to trust just any person who just claims to have spiritual powers. I'm actually a very skeptical person. Very skeptical, but I'm also very open-minded and willing to test, especially certain avenues that seem promising. And Anthony Williams' diet advice has gotten results and actually helped to heal and reverse millions of people's severe chronic illness symptoms, like people who can't even get out of bed because they have muscular sclerosis and they're literally on their lifeline. They can't even shower because they're in so much pain. Drinking celery juice, drinking lemon water, and eating mainly fruits and vegetables and cutting out a lot of the problem foods that I mentioned, lowering the fats in the diet and just eating mainly fruits and vegetables, giving the organ system space to cleanse the toxins and the viruses which are causing the chronic illnesses. This actually has helped to heal millions of people, and myself included. I literally healed my eczema, which is unheard of. If you've ever had eczema or you know someone who has eczema, it's hard to deal with. Like, you can use every cream under the sun, and it just keeps coming back. It's because it's an inside thing. Anthony Williams, I learned by reading his book, Cleanse to Heal, and also Liver Rescue as well. He talks about in very much so detail, lots of detail, scientific detail, and also detail that is even ahead of modern science, because he's channeling a source that is ahead of modern science, that is literally trying to help the humans, because the humans are all sick and they don't know why, and it's going to take 100 years for science to catch up. So if you have a chronic illness and you can't even get out of bed, you don't have time to wait 100 years. When you get desperate, you're actually willing to try anything. And many people get led down many wrong paths. And I'm not saying that every single holistic medicine is like always good, like Chinese medicine or fad diets, or shamans doing hypnotherapy to try to heal your eczema or whatever it is. There's a lot of quackery in the new age scene as well, and there's a lot of quackery in the mainstream scientific scene. So that's why it's very difficult for a person like me, who has devoted my entire life to literally studying hundreds of diverse perspectives, reading hundreds of books, spirituality, science, history, systems thinking, success, self-help, life coaching, law of attraction, politics, and biographies of all kinds. I study. I'm a sponge. I study information. That's my skill. That's what I have to offer to others, is comprehensive, holistic knowledge and the experience to have actually checked hundreds of perspectives, so I can literally come up here and tell you, hey, this works, and I actually checked the alternatives. This is the best thing I found that works for me and others as well, and it's an extremely high quality source of information. So all this to say that even if you're someone who isn't suffering from severe chronic illnesses, I would encourage you, if you're just interested in optimizing your health, just so that you can optimize your productivity, your performance in your sports, or in your work, or in your art that you're creating, or in your meditation practice. If you want to optimize your health, I recommend checking out Anthony Williams' protocols. I've made other videos about them, detailed explanations for how to do the morning cleanse, drinking lemon water in the morning, and then drinking celery juice, and then having large quantities of fruits, filling up on fruits, not being afraid of fruits, realizing that you're okay to have 8 bananas for breakfast if that's what you want. This is what our ancestors have done for millions of years. And I say millions, I mean millions, literally like Australopithecus, like before we were even Homo sapiens, before we even had a neocortex developed enough to even craft tools to hunt animals or to make fires to cook them. Our ancestors were literally just very easily just reaching up, grabbing low-hanging fruits and just taking a bite, because that's what our teeth are designed to do. It tastes good. Our eyesight can see them from far away. The sugars feed our muscles, they feed our brain, our organs. The water hydrates. So if there's no water around and you're really thirsty, but there's a fruit tree right there with 500 apples or 500 oranges, you're not going to be afraid, oh, maybe I shouldn't have 20 oranges. Maybe that's too much. No, of course not. You're going to eat until you're full on oranges. So you can't get hurt by eating large quantities of fruit. I've actually healed my teeth. I had really bad cavities, like 10 of them. I had to get all kinds of fillings and everything. It was really annoying. And even after I got the fillings, they still didn't go away. So as I was doing this diet that I'm talking about, where I'm eating large quantities of fruit for breakfast, and then cooked or steamed vegetables, leafy greens for lunch and dinner, large quantities till I'm full: potatoes, squash, zucchini, cabbage, onions, garlic, all kinds of vegetables, all kinds of fruits, and then even fruits after dinner as well if I'm still hungry, and just eating only that. I've been doing this for a few months, and I actually literally reversed my gum issues and my teeth issues, and my teeth aren't sensitive anymore. When I was eating dates or like honey, my teeth would literally burn, like as if the sugar was like burning holes in my teeth because it was so bad. What I learned is that actually it's because the honey and the dates is actually antibacterial, and it's actually literally fixing your teeth. That's why it hurts so much. But it's like when you put rubbing alcohol on a wound. It's disinfecting it, and it stings, it burns. So I just trusted what Anthony William was saying about teeth. I listened to his podcast. It's an hour long about teeth, which is something I want to say as well. If you have a question about any specific illness or symptom, go on his website, medicalmedium.com, and actually listen to what he has to say about your specific illness, or just even if you have a question, maybe a family member of yours has an illness, listen to what Anthony has to say about it. And really listen. There's actually, he has a massive, humongous body of work that he's written over 8 books, and they're thick, they're dense. So don't be so quick to dismiss this perspective that I'm sharing with you, because you can't really create a valid argument against the medical medium unless you really understand what he's saying, which might take you literally a year of like genuine, serious, open-minded testing and study, because you can't really challenge a perspective unless you actually really understand it. Otherwise, you're just doing a straw man. You're building a poor replica of the medical medium information, and then you're disproving the replica, but you're not actually familiar with the actual information. So what you may find if you peek your head around this corner and actually look and test is that this is by far, it's not even questionable, that this is the deepest, the most holistic, the most integrated, and the highest consciousness with the most awareness, the most integration, the most complex and nuanced variables in the complexity of the human body and how it uptakes foods. This is the highest quality information we have on Earth right now. I'm open to being disproven. I actually love being disproven, and that's why I check so many books and perspectives. This is my job. I'm an explorer. I don't like just finding one perspective and just sitting on it. I actually literally keep checking to see if I'm wrong. I want to be disproven. But I if the thing is just true and it just keeps being true, then I'm still open to being wrong, but I'm not finding anything that is as high quality and as effective and as useful as Anthony Williams' information. I'm still open. Maybe I'll find something tomorrow. Who knows? I'm not married to this perspective. I'm just sharing with you because my heart is sad, because I see everyone is sick. My little cousin he was 2 years old. This was yesterday. My family was over, and he was fed pasta, and he was just crying, and he had like a temper tantrum. He was just sad, and he was just crying the entire time because his stomach was hurting, because the humans on Earth are not understanding that there's certain foods that if you put into a human body, it doesn't work. It creates pain and disease. And then there's other foods that you should only be putting into the human body massively, like apples, that we're afraid to eat 10 apples for some reason, because we have this mindset of like, well, too much of one thing is never good. But no, actually, no. Because you can't just eat a little bit of everything, a little bit of apples, a little bit of eggs, a little bit of pork, a little bit of cake, a little bit of cookies, a little bit of lollipops. You can't just have a little bit of everything. Everything in mediocrity, including mediocrity, or everything in moderation, including moderation as well. It's good to go extreme. If something's really healthy, like spinach, eat a lot. Don't be scared, oh no, I think I'm going to have too much spinach. No, have a lot. Our ancestors would just, if they were thirsty, they would just like pick leaves out of the ground and eat them because it hydrates you, and there's key minerals, nutrients, phytochemicals, and all sorts of things in the plants that are growing out of the earth. It's been intelligently designed for millions of years, and you can't ignore this. You can't like shortcut the process and just like think that pasta is going to be as nutritious as like salad. Like it can't work. So for kids, if you have kids or you want to know what to feed kids, feed them a lot of fruit. Lots, like 75% of their diet can be fruit, blended, so that they don't choke. Just blend apples and bananas and give it to your kids. This is extremely healthy. You can juice a little bit of celery. Give them some celery juice. There's certain dosages that Anthony William gives to kids. You can feed them steamed potatoes, mashed potatoes. You can blend some spinach and some greens into the fruit that you make them, and give that to them all day. That's it. They don't eat pizza, okay? They will have behavioral problems because their literal brains won't be functioning properly. All right? They will develop health problems, addictions, depression, acne, all sorts of things as they get older. And you're not a kid, you're an adult, and the odds are you have some of these health problems yourself. So when it comes to changing your diet, you need to understand tips for actually making the jump into the healthy eating that I'm talking about, is that for the first 30 days, you're gonna not really like it that much, or it's gonna feel uncomfortable, or you're gonna have cravings for pizza. What you don't understand is that your body has bacteria in your microbiome that it has been used to eating meat. Anyways, you can have a little bit of chicken, a little bit of beef on the medical medium diet, by the way. But in general, it's better to just kind of lower it a bit, because the fruits and vegetables are really healthier, and that's what you want to prioritize and emphasize in your diet. You can have some nuts, you can have some seeds, some legumes as well. It's okay, but not in the morning especially. Fruits in the morning, afternoon, and then later in the evening you want to bring in some more fatty foods. That's okay, but really emphasize those vegetables. What I was saying is, when you're making the jump, you gotta just fucking stick with it for 30 days. You gotta kind of power through the beginning. Use that fucking God-given power. Stop eating shit. You gotta actually make the shift, gotta commit. Okay, I'm gonna make the fucking celery juice. Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, I actually don't want to stand there and like put celery sticks through the juicer or blend it and then strain it in a bag. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Of course, I'd rather literally jack off, or like watch videos on my phone, or of course that's what I want to do. But this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to actually becoming a self-actualized human being. Sometimes you need to like build a new habit, and in the beginning it takes a little bit of force. You gotta like power through those first initial 21 days when all the cravings are coming and you're lazy and your mind's convincing you all the reasons. Oh, I don't want those steamed Brussels sprouts. oh, I don't want those that steamed asparagus. What I'm telling you is that your taste buds, your palate, will change over time. Your cravings will change. You don't like the way celery juice tastes? Okay, that's fair. Take it slow in the beginning, but after a month, you might literally be craving celery juice. Like, where's my celery juice? I gotta go make it. I need it. Okay, because your body changes. Your gut biome changes. Your tastes change. Okay, so this is the difference between a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Like, oh, I don't want to just eat spinach or just salad. Like, it's so bland. I don't want to eat steamed zucchini. I'd rather have a hamburger. This is the measure of your emotional maturity right here. I can peg someone's emotional maturity instantly just based on their food choices and their level of consciousness as well. So this is where the rubber meets the road. You gotta kind of like force feed yourself a little bit, not in a way that traumatizes you. I'm saying to balance the masculine and the feminine. So the feminine is accepting yourself, going slow, being caring, being compassionate, not overdoing it, okay, in the beginning. Okay, sure, that's fine. But at the same time, you gotta push yourself a little bit. You gotta move out of your comfort zone a little bit. Otherwise, you can't be an adult. If you're eating cake for breakfast, or you're eating, but Adam, you're telling me I can never eat a hamburger? Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Why would you want that? Why would you want to put fuel into your machine of a body that clogs the machine and makes it break down and makes your brain foggy and makes your stomach hurt and give you diarrhea and makes your eczema flare up and your acne get worse, etc.? Why would you want to do that? It's just I'm talking about heightening your understanding of cause and effect. Every food you eat it's a cause that has an effect. Okay, so you're like, Adam, but I'm going to miss pizza. Okay, you might miss pizza in the beginning, but over time, you're going to actually feel so healthy and so vibrant and alive and clean that you're actually going to prefer the feeling of being extremely healthy, never having your stomach hurt ever. Every bowel movement is smooth and goes great. Your brain is clear, your skin is clear, you're vibrant, you're alive, you're hydrated. You're gonna like that feeling more than the temporary 5-minute taste of cheese pizza. Why would you want to ruin that clarity and that vibrance and abundant health? So it's an emotional maturity thing. It's the difference also between delayed gratification and instant gratification. Be in it for the long run. Try the diet for 2 months and 3 months and see the results come over time. This is how it is with meditation or with reading books. You can't just read one book. You got to read them for the rest of your life. I know you'd rather, play video games or watch Netflix, but it's actually more fulfilling to be intelligent than it is to just like watch another episode. In the same way, it's more fulfilling to be healthy than it is to have a slice of pizza. So even if when at night, when you're craving ice cream or you're craving your sweets, there's literally recipes on medicalmedium.com. Buy one of his books. There's recipes in the books. He's literally supporting you. He's giving you recipes that taste amazing. You can literally make pizza. I made pizza with my girlfriend the other day out of potatoes. We used potatoes as the dough. You mash them and you just mix them with starch. It turns into this dough, and then you rolled it up. We actually made pizza together because she was craving pizza, so that's what we had, and it tasted pretty good. So there's a lot of recipes on medicalmedium.com that you can use that will actually help you to support your transition, and also just really tasty things you can have for the rest of your life, like the apple banana sorbet that I posted in my community recently in YouTube, the YouTube community. Frozen bananas, apples, and cinnamon. You should blend that up in a blender. Oh my God, you got apple cinnamon ice cream. You can do it with blueberries. You can do it with mango, etc. So you're not going to be depriving yourself on this diet. You got to realize the inherent tastiness and goodness of fruits and vegetables. They're inherently good. It might just take you a month to realize that, to adjust. All right? So I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope you understand that diet is a core pillar of self-actualization. If you're not understanding the actual mechanics of diet and the human body, which right now on Earth, we got one source that is really giving amazing information. I'm sure there's other sources with pretty good information, but it's like not as advanced because it's not directly channeled. So I'm not closed to other sources. I'm open to learning and etc. But really, I would recommend really learning Anthony William, really sticking with that. I know it's a little weird to just only trust one person, and trust me, I'm the first person to know that it's weird. My teacher literally taught me when I first was doing personal development, Leo on actualize.org. I studied the mechanics of ideology and dogma for 5 years before I even discovered medical medium. So I'm very aware of the traps of ideology, dogma, and just only trusting one piece of information. I get it. But it's so counterintuitive that, like, I'm even not ideological about not trusting one person. What if the one person actually is just like really like spiritually aware, and he actually has psychic powers, and he's just directly telling you what the diet is and how it works? How would you know? What if that's the truth? Then if it's the truth, it's the truth. I don't care how it looks or how it smells or how it tastes or what kind of taste it leaves in your mouth. At the end of the day, it's the truth, and that's all I care about, because the truth heals. All right. If you want my personal help in your life with self-actualizing, becoming the best version of yourself, I do offer one-to-one coaching. You can click the link in the description to apply, to talk to me, see if we're a good fit, and work together to transform your life. Otherwise, subscribe for more videos like this. Please eat healthy. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.